Okay. Welcome back to the Budget Cut Podcast. This is Sean Connors, CEO with E-Team Sponsor, joined by Rob Wigod of the CIF's Southern Section. He's the commissioner there. Been at the Southern Section for about 20 years, the last 9 as commissioner. Prior to that, he was a football, baseball coach, as well as an athletic director and history teacher at Lakewood High School in Los Alamitos. So, Rob, we really appreciate you joining us from home today, and welcome to the Budget Cut Podcast.
Well, thank you, Sean. Great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
You got it. You got it. Well, hey, let's jump right in, man. Let's address the elephant in the room.
Okay.
What's it like running the largest section in the CIF with no sports, no school? Lots changed in the last 30 days, huh?
Well, it certainly has. And I know for all of us, it's just the unprecedented times that we keep talking about. You know, I only know one section. I grew up in the Southern Section. I played sports and coached and taught, and everything that I did was in the Southern Section. So, you know, it's really all that I know, and it's a great opportunity. I'm honored to have this opportunity. It's only been 9 commissioners in the 107-year history of our organization. So, you know, being number 9 in that group is kind of overwhelming sometimes when I think about it. But, you know, we're just trying to do whatever we can to support everyone out there, our member schools, our student athletes first and foremost, and of course all the coaches and athletic directors and principals, and just making sure that we're available and accessible for anything and everything they need.
Awesome. Yeah, Rob, I think looking at, you know, kind of how things have changed and some of the impact that it's had, where do you look at first in terms of what's been impacted the most? Obviously, student athletes, right? Student athletes.
Yeah.
Such. What have you guys seen in terms of, you know, spring sports being canceled, championships, conversations you've had with either league commissioners, athletic directors, coaches? What's kind of your guys, what have you guys been focusing on here?
You know, it was a really just difficult situation from the beginning because we got started in spring sports. And so, you know, people got these seasons off and running, and they were excited about it, and there were lots of possibilities in front of them. And then to get it interrupted and significantly interrupted, and then trying as hard as we could to hold on to some time frames and figure out a way that we could somehow, you know, still make it happen for the student athletes and everybody else. You know, that became a tremendous challenge for all of us around the state. And so it was just a really fast changing, constantly new information coming. Again, this is the first time any of us had ever experienced anything like it. So it was a really difficult time as soon as this thing got started. You know, now that we unfortunately had to cancel the spring sports, and we're now sort of dealing with the aftermath of that, we're truly focused now on fall sports and how we can get ready to go, and already started working on scenarios with our staff and different ways that we can address getting things back. Obviously, when the local, you know, state and federal authorities tell us it is safe to do that.
So with the most optimism that we can have at this point, knowing that hopefully that's going to be in the near future as opposed to later down the road, what are some of the things you guys are talking about? What are some of the positive things you guys are working on for everyone to look forward to come the fall?
Well, one of the things I think we've really understood, and I put out a memo last week to our membership just to kind of touch on a few things as we go forward now, since we had to make that decision on the 3rd of April to cancel. But the feeling about the fall is there's a lot more flexibility. We were really limited in the spring. We got started, we had to stop, and then looking at the end of school and how everything was going to play out, you know, we became involved in a smaller and smaller window. But as we look forward to the fall, I think there's a lot more room for flexibility there. We can start any number of places when and if it's time and safe for the students to get back out there. And I think, you know, once that's done, then we'll have a good feeling for how to put together viable fall championships and really try to get things as much back to normal as people are used to. So I am very encouraged by that. I think there is more flexibility in the fall, but then again, we are still dealing with the great unknown. And until we can get some real, you know, concrete facts on when we think things will start to open up, then we'll just be ready to adjust accordingly.
Got it. What have you been hearing? I know there's a lot of rumors out there as to when California might get back or what schools are planning on in terms of online instruction. What are some of the things you might be able to share with people today as to what you guys have been hearing?
Well, I think the most important thing for us is going to be when schools and school districts decide that they're going to let students back on campus. Unlike as we were tracking and monitoring school districts in the spring, there were several different announcements. This district was going to stay closed until this date. This district till this date. There was so much of a variety going on. And then it pretty much was the entire state decided that the school year would be done remotely. There will be a rollout, if you will, based on local school districts, private schools. They're going to decide when they think it's safe for their students to come back. So we're going to have to do the same kind of tracking and get a sense of when the majority, if not everybody, are going to be back. And then when that happens, we can go forward with, I hope, a workable, viable calendar for regular season and championship competition. And so that's really what I'm hearing, lots of different things. Some schools and districts really looking forward to trying to make things happen earlier in the summer if they can. They all have their start dates for the new school year, well in hand and in place for a long time. So they're going to have to do evaluations on when they decide to let their students back on campus, even in advance of school starting.
Got it. Have you heard in terms of maybe when, I know typically, football is kind of that first sport to report back because they get started so early. Any idea to potentially what that date may look like? I know typically most of the schools or teams would report kind of beginning of August. Is there talk about maybe moving that out and having fall sports start? Kind of like the colleges have been talking about, NCAA and NAIA talking about things potentially moving to a September or October start?
Everything's on the table, and I think what you're suggesting is one of them. And so, again, I think our responsibility is to keep working through scenarios so that we're prepared for the actual scenario when it happens and be able to put it all together. And I think we can. I wrote last week, July 1 means something, August 1 means something, September 1 means something. They all mean something different, but I do think people have to realize there won't be one set date. It won't be like that. It will be based on local decisions, and again, where the majority of those local decisions will be made based on their circumstances.
Yeah, I think, as we've put together, kind of reformatted really what we want to talk about during our podcast, and we call it leadership through adversity. I know you've dealt, I'm sure, with adversity before in your life, maybe not to this level. But looking back at your career as a coach, as an athletic director, and obviously the last 9 years as a commissioner, what are some of the principles? What are some of the core values, things that have maybe you've carried with you in your career, and some of the things that you're leaning on now, and that you in the Southern section are using to help you guys get through each day?
Well, I have such a strong belief in what we do and who we do it for. I've just every step of my journey through the different jobs I've had and different places I've been, I think I believe it more each one of those steps. And I truly believe in the value of this and what it does for young people, the lessons that they learn, the experiences that they have. So I start there, and I start there pretty much every day. Along with that, though, comes the health and safety of the student athletes. And that has to be number one, first and foremost for us, that we make sure that they're always healthy and safe out there. And I think I lost you. Yeah. Yeah, I know. And I now I can't hear you. I don't know if you can hear me.
You got me now?
Yeah, I got you now.
Okay, yeah. Do you want to just
that's doing that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it just froze up on a second. That's okay.
Yeah, I know. This is a laptop. It's mine actually that I haven't used all that much, and this is the first one of these I've done like this. So
no worries.
My girl's ready. All right. So I think I hope maybe I'll just start over. Kind of.
Yeah, start from the beginning.
I don't know how quickly I was into it when I fell out, but the first thing I was going to say is I really strongly believe in what we do and who we do it for. What students learn from being part of high school athletic programs is life lessons they will take with them forever. And not every one of them is going on to college and professional sports. And so we know that there's so much to be gained from being part of this. So I start there. And then I go into what I really believe beyond that is the health and safety of our students and making sure that what they're involved in, there always be health and safety as number one priority. So, those are things that we need to always keep in mind going forward. So as we try to deal with this temporary interruption and start to get ourselves ready to go. I'm really hoping and optimistic that we're going to have a renewed appreciation for all of this. I think at times it may be taken for granted. We're always there. We've always had games. We've always had championships. Everybody, the officials are there. The fans are there. Everything's all set up. The awards are ready, and we just go and do it. And I hope that now, if there's anything positive at all to be gained from this, is this is something we love so much. And without it being here, all right, let's.
All right. Appreciate you sharing that last piece. That was great. I was going to say my next question was going to be going towards looking at, what are some of the you mentioned what people probably will have a renewed appreciation for coming back and being able to go have these types of experiences. What's maybe the one thing that you'd say you miss the most about not having an athletic competitive season right now?
Well, I think just the stories. I think that's one of the special things about being involved in high school athletics and a former high school. And each one of those years ever since, there's always the stories of how that particular year is going to play out and what spectacular things will happen. And there will maybe be some things that are huge disappointments, but I get energized by that. It's never the same. It's not like you just roll the ball out every year and see the same thing. You see something new and you see new opportunities. And I just, maybe selfishly for a moment, we put this competitive equity playoffs system in. This is now which is that we're getting closer games, especially earlier in our championships. But beyond that has been these new schools having opportunities they've never had before. And so we're having these schools that have never played for a championship ever. Or, we had a football team who hadn't won a championship since 1930. And these kinds of things are happening. And the excitement that a community gets, gets completely behind these stories that develop in front of our eyes. And so I definitely miss that and miss just following Southern Section sports and what's happening and who's doing what. And it's a huge void without it. Because like I said, for over 40 years, I haven't missed a season involved with high school sports at some level.
I love that. I love hearing that. The like you said, there's so many stories to be told, but so many new stories to be written. And there's a lot of great new opportunities with the way that athletics and the competitive landscape is now structured in the Southern Section. So, and in the CIF for that matter. So yeah, I agree. I think that's a great insight there. In terms of some of the financial impact, how do you see, what's happened here over the course of the last month? How do you see that impacting the schools, athletics, maybe even the section financially moving forward?
Well, I will tell you that people have always asked me what I missed most about coaching and teaching, but the great thing is people like you, if you were there, I wouldn't miss fundraising because you guys do such a great job and take care of it. And it works so well that if you guys were around in my coaching days, I might not have ever gotten out. But it's true. I mean, it's a wonderful stuff that you do. And I know so many schools have benefited from it. And so I commend you guys for that. But as far as financially for us, as an organization, it's going to hit us hard. We were having a tremendous year. We were very fortunate that our attendance had come back. We'd had some trending downward over the last couple, 3 years. And our attendance came back in the fall and the winter across the board. I mean, all of our sports. And even like taking basketball or football, every round, the attendance got better. And the finals were better. So we were really excited about the way the year played out, and losing the revenue that comes in from spring sports is going to be a big hit for us as an organization. Ironically, a lot of our schools are probably saving some money this spring.
Yeah.
I would never trade for the reason they're saving it, but as we know, spring sports are not real revenue generators in terms of bringing in ticket money or things like that. It's usually the fall and winter sports that kind of support the rest of the sports programs on the campus. So I think our schools, in a financial sense, may be saving some money here.
Yeah.
Again, not wanting that to be the case. For us, it's not just the ticket revenue or championship revenue. It's, we sell championship apparel. We have corporate sponsorships. We have all conference. So those are all compromised, obviously, by the lack of opportunity here in the spring. And so I mentioned it was going to be a really good year, because by the time the fall and the winter are done, your die is kind of cast, and we were really looking to have an excellent financial year, and that's not going to happen. But we're going to do the best that we can to certainly keep going and not have to impose additional fees or anything on our schools to try to make up for some of this. We're going to batten down the hatches a little bit. And we also have a healthy reserve fund that we can draw upon. And, we've done some good fiscal management over the years to build up a nice reserve. So again, we just want to make as little or no impact to our schools about some of the financial issues that are hitting us.
Well, great. Well, and that's one of the things that we certainly try to keep a really keep a pulse on, is identifying and listening to the schools as to if there's a financial impact. And so I would mention that to you and the rest of your staff as well, Rob, that, hey, if there's anything that you guys feel like we can do to step in and help, any schools or programs that are in need, obviously we want to be able to do that. And speaking of that type of a platform that you guys, we as, one of those corporate partners, we love the partnership that we have with the CIF and specifically with the Southern section. But you have your big event every fall in middle of October. You guys have your athletic directors and principal symposium, which I think is just an awesome platform, and you're educating people, empowering them. That's one of our mantras as a company, and we love seeing you do that. How does the symposium look to be able to have that this year? I know obviously it's a ways away, but October, we're still on track for that. And if things do need to change, any ideas for how that symposium may carry on if we can't all get together physically?
Well, yes. And again, I thank you and any team sponsor. You guys have been right there at the forefront with your name on it with us, and we're proud of that event. And so to have you as part of it with us, it means a lot. Yeah, we're full speed ahead for the symposium. As you know, we gather probably 600 plus athletic administrators from our section. It's become one of those dates. It's exactly what you want. You want people to circle it on their calendar and know it's coming. And our efforts to get people there, now that it's established and going the way it's going, it's been great. We really aren't out there hustling people and having to, prod them and beg them to come. We announce when it is, where it is, and they get on and they line up and sign up, and then it's our challenge to make sure the program is worthwhile, and we provide great opportunities for them to learn and get better that day. So it's been something that we've just about 4 or 5 years now that we've really hit our stride with, and so right now we're set for that same location and first part of October and full speed ahead, and again hoping that there's kind of a renewed excitement about just getting everyone together again when we can, and seeing everybody look at each other back in the eyes and say, hey, we're back now, and let's continue this journey. So so far we're still ready to go and making plans for another great summit.
That's great. That's great. Well, I know I've heard things that, when we get back to normal, there's not going to be, it's going to be frowned upon if you go to shake somebody's hand. I don't know. I'm not. I'm still a shake your hand guy, but
yeah, I am too.
Might be a little different then. Well, hey, Rob, one of the things that is one of the things that I think that's unique about just yourself and your role that you're in now. You've been in the section for 40 years, so you've been able to, like you said, it's been 40 years of seeing a lot of stories and opportunities and some great, I'm sure, people along the way. So I was going to kind of go a little rapid fire here and talk to you about some of the great ones that you've seen, because you've had a chance to, coach in football and baseball, being an athletic director. It's going to go down the list here of a few things in terms of some of the best players, coaches, and just all around talents in the Southern section. So in your 40 years, we'll start with your football coaching career. Coached football for a long time.
Wow.
What were some of your most memorable either people or moments from coaching football?
You know, I have one that just I don't think I can ever get away from, and it actually happened at Los Alamitos High School, and we were playing in a second round playoff game, and we were playing against Loyola High School, and we were tied with them, and we were trying to move it down there, and we threw a little 5-yard little pass, and there was maybe 6 seconds left, and the little 5-yard pass was caught. The guy was knocked out of bounds, and we lined up for a 60-yard field goal.
Whoa.
And I was standing, right about the edge of the box, and the guy who kicked it is a guy by the name of Chris Cluey. And Chris Cluey actually ended up being in the NFL for many years as a punter. He went to UCLA, and he also pitched for me. He was one of our right-handed pitchers. So Cluey's our punter and our place kicker at LaSalle. He goes to UCLA and has a pretty decent career in the NFL, mostly with the Minnesota Vikings. But Cluey hits this kick, and I remember I'm about the 25-yard line, and I go, that thing's going to go. And he makes a 60-yard field goal as time expires. And that little 5-yard pass, if we don't get that little 5-yard pass, he probably doesn't make it. So that's probably one from football that I would put on the top of my list. And then probably my number one baseball is when I coached at Lakewood. We played at Dodger Stadium, and we had a great little guy who pitched for us. We went 9 innings in the game against Esperanza High. This guy that we had pitching for us struck out 13 guys.
Oh.
And the ninth, with 1 out, he struck the next 2 guys out. And then we came up and scored at the bottom of the 9th to win it 1-0. And so I have a championship ring from that one, and it was at Dodger Stadium, and it was one of the greatest high school baseball games I've ever seen, and happened to be on that stage, was pretty special.
That's
and so those, maybe one from each of the schools I worked at, one in football, one in baseball, probably be 2 of the bigger memories that I've had.
That's awesome. That's great. And, like I said, you've done this for as long as you have, and you're doing it for the right reasons. And those types of memories are, I think, what we've heard from a lot of coaches, ADs, and section commissioners like yourself is that's what they miss the most. They miss being able to see, the student athletes experience that. Well, moving on to the coaches, your time as an athletic director, do you look back at maybe some of the coaches, fond memories of coaches, but maybe even just, hey, who's a coach that you'd want to have in your athletic department offices right now dealing with this? Who's a coach that maybe stands out to you from as they say, if you were going to be in a foxhole, you'd want to be in a foxhole with this guy or this.
If you don't mind, and I'll try to make it 2 of them, but I'll start with my high school football and baseball coach, a guy that just really had a huge impact on my life. And the reason I became what I became is because of him. His name was Skip Rowland at Long Beach Wilson High School. He's actually in the UCLA Athletic Hall of Fame. And he just had such a tremendous, he was the most professional, organized, he had a great way of relating to us. Completely dry sense of humor. I mean, cracked you up constantly and never acted like he was trying to do that. And then I had a really, I call it an honor to have coached with a guy named Spud O'Neill in baseball at Lakewood High School. Spent 14 years with him. He's heading for his 900th win as a high school baseball coach. And I probably learned more from him about making sure that the guys had fun, that we would work hard, we'd prepare as hard as we could, but when the game actually started, let them play and trust your preparation so that they're there. So both those guys, as I said, you're fortunate that people you come up against and come up with get or have the impact on you, and you never forget. And I'll just quickly give you one. The coach I mentioned, Skip Rowland, that he had a comment that he always said. I always tried to beat him to the practice field every day. I always wanted to get there before him. And I tried it every single day and I never could. And so one day I said to him, how come I can't get here before you every day? And he said, the leader gets there ahead of time. And I've never forgotten that. And that's how I'm never late. I always, when I taught school, I was not in the hallway with a kid standing outside the hall waiting for me to come in and open the door. Like it's how I'm wired. I've got to be there first. And that's kind of, I took that as a 16-year-old high school junior from my high school coach, and it's stayed with me ever since.
That's awesome. There's a lot to be said. People can learn a lot from and take things from, adolescent age to, later on in their professional careers. And that's great to hear that. It's just awesome to see people in sports that have had, that type of impact, not only on student athletes and coaches that they worked with, but even back to when they were adolescent age and in high school, and they had coaches and administrators that had that type of an impact on them. That's awesome. Any leadership principles, Rob, that you've learned along the way, personally, professionally, anything that you're referencing in terms, maybe a source of strength or wisdom to kind of help you lead through, this challenging times?
That's a really good question. And I honestly believe it starts with honesty. I've always had the belief when I was a teacher and a coach, and I tried to carry that through, that you got to be honest with people, even when it's not what they want to hear. And I think that's really important. They may not like what you're telling them, but they will respect you for being honest with them. And so I think that principle has been really important to me. I just believe the more you communicate and you're honest with people, that's the best that you can do. And I think another thing that really stays with me is just trying to be someone that leads by example, that I want to show people how to do it and do it the way that I think it should be done. And so trying to be there and be present and be someone that they would look at as doing things the right way. And so many people that I have met that I would never have met through this. I mean, if I'd stayed in Long Beach and Lakewood, and I'd met the people around that area, but just to know whenever I go out and about in our section, which, as you know, is a very large area, I just meet and know people who are doing great things for student athletes. And I just am so almost mesmerized by that there are just a lot of really great people doing great things for kids. And so, as a leader, I think trying to be honest with people, trying to be that example, to be there, be present, and then to develop those relationships and make it about the relationships more so than anything else.
I love it. Yeah, that's great stuff. Well, I was going to ask you, if you had a message that you could share with every single student athlete in the Southern section. We'll start with, unfortunately, the seniors that aren't going to be able to experience the things that they would probably put a lot of time and effort into. We'll start with them, and then for the student athletes that are coming back that are going to have another opportunity. What would you say to them?
First thing I would say to our seniors is how sorry I am, how much I really, really feel for them, and how hard they've worked and how much they looked forward to finishing up their high school experience. And just unfortunately, it was taken away from them. I really, really do feel for them first and foremost. I know this will be something not let take them away from their journey, that they continue to stay focused, that they continue to use this and build upon the achievements that they've already had. We love them, we support them, we want the best for them, and really, really want them to know how much we think of them every day, and really, really want them to go forward, learn from all of this, and be better people for it. It's hard. It's not going to be something that just happens. It's going to take a lot of work. But when they think back to this, we hope it's going to be a time that they saw as a definitely difficult time for them, but something that actually somehow made them better. For the younger ones, I say, get ready, because we're coming back. We're coming back stronger than we've ever come back before, because we really know how much this means to us, and we have missed it, and it was taken away from us, and we do have another chance to bring it back. And with that in mind, we need to come back. We need to appreciate it. We need to think about how special and unique education-based athletics is. we also need to remember sportsmanship and character, and come back and maybe make sure that when we come back that we still keep thinking about how to act the right way and behave the right way and be examples and role models of doing things right, because we need to keep emphasizing sportsmanship and character along with what we do on the field and in the classroom and everything else. So there are better days ahead. I look forward to enjoying them with you, and they're coming, and we'll be ready when they're here.
That's awesome. That's great. I can't think of a better message to share with the seniors that are going to be graduating here shortly, and then the student athletes that are coming back. So Rob, we see why the Southern section's in such good hands under your leadership, and it's great to see that a lot of the principles and teachings that you've had along the way, from playing and coaching and directing athletics, are the guiding light here for the Southern section now. So, well, good. Well, we appreciate you coming on. This is great. We've got a lot of really great content to share with coaches, not just coaches and ADs in the Southern section, but I know there's going to be coaches and athletic directors and conference commissioners across the country. They're going to get a lot out of this. And so we greatly appreciate you coming on today. And I hope the next time we get you on here, maybe we'll do one at the Symposium when we're all able to be face-to-face again, and
Sure.
some more exciting things to talk about then too.
Yeah, well, you guys are great to work with. I mean, you're not just people we work with, but we think of you as family. And I know we're going to keep working as hard as we can to help kids. And I'm always fans of people like that. So, I'm a fan of yours and your staff and all the great people you get to work with.
Well,
we'll keep this thing going.
Yeah, I know, right?
There are going to be, we'll keep this thing going, and there are going to be some great days ahead that we're looking forward to. So thanks again for having me.
Absolutely. You're welcome, Rob. Thank you. Continued health and safety to you and your family. And glad your girls are home. That's great. And enjoy the time with them. And we'll look forward to catching up with you down the road.